Hey everyone, it's Mike. Tonight is a little different. I was cleaning out my closet this evening, something I do maybe twice a year when the guilt of ignoring it finally becomes too strong, and I found a shoebox I had not opened in a long time. Inside were old photographs, letters, a few small objects from years ago. I sat down on the floor of my closet and started going through them, and before I knew it, an hour had passed. Just me, this box, and a lot of memories. There was a photo of me at 18, standing outside my childhood home on the first day of college. Skinny, nervous smile, a backpack that was clearly too big for my body. I looked at that photo for a long time, and I thought, if I could sit down with that kid, that 18-year-old version of me standing outside his house with his oversized backpack and his nervous smile, what would I say to him? That question stayed with me all evening, after I left the closet, after I made dinner, after I sat down in this armchair with this photograph still in my hand. So tonight, I want to answer that question honestly. What would I tell my younger self? Not the version from last year or 5 years ago, the young version, the one who was just starting out, just beginning to figure out who he was and what his life was going to look like. I think this is a question worth sitting with, because the answers say a lot about what I have learned, and learning is only valuable if you can look back at it clearly and honestly. So, let me talk to that kid. The first thing I would tell him, and I would say this clearly, directly, without hesitation, is this: you are enough. Right now, exactly as you are. I spent so much of my late teens and early 20s feeling like I was not quite enough, not smart enough, not successful enough, not interesting enough. There was always a gap between who I was and who I thought I should be, and that gap exhausted me for years. I would tell that 18-year-old, the gap is not real. You are not behind, you are not less than, you are a person in the early chapters of a long story. And early chapters are supposed to be uncertain and unfinished. Nobody arrives at 18 already knowing who they are. The ones who look like they do, they are just better at hiding it. You are enough. Write that down. Say it every morning until you believe it, because the sooner you believe it, the sooner you can stop spending your energy trying to prove it to everyone else and start actually living your life. The second thing I would tell him is, be patient with the process. I was so impatient when I was young. I wanted everything now. I wanted to be established and settled into a meaningful life by the time I was 25. 25! I cringe thinking about that now. Life does not work on your timeline. That is one of the most important things I know now that I did not know then. The career you want, it takes time to build. The person you want to become, it takes time to grow into. The relationships that matter, they take time to develop and deepen. None of the things worth having arrive quickly or easily. I remember being 23 and feeling genuinely frustrated that my life was not further along. I looked at people around me who seemed to have everything figured out, and I felt behind, always behind. But here's what I know now. Those people didn't have it figured out either. Nobody does at 23. The ones who seem most certain are often the most lost, and the feeling of being behind is almost always a lie. You are not behind. You are right on time. Your time, not anyone else's. Be patient. Do the work. Trust that things are developing even when you can't see the progress, because they are. Underneath the surface, things are always growing, even when everything looks still and unchanged. The third thing I would tell him is harder to say, but I would say it anyway. Stop running from the hard things. When I was young, I avoided difficulty. Not in dramatic ways, but emotionally, I avoided. When something was uncomfortable, I distracted myself. When a relationship needed a difficult conversation, I found reasons to postpone it. When I was struggling inside, I kept it to myself and pushed through alone, telling myself that was strength. It wasn't strength. It was avoidance. I would tell that young Mike, the hard things do not go away when you avoid them. They wait, they grow, they get heavier the longer you carry them without looking at them directly. The conversation you're afraid to have it. The feeling you're trying not to feel it. The problem you keep putting off, face it. Not because it will be easy, it will not be easy, but because on the other side of the hard thing, there is always more space, more peace, more freedom than you had before. I've learned this slowly and sometimes painfully over the years. Every time I finally faced something I had been avoiding, every single time, I wondered why I had waited so long. The anticipation is almost always worse than the reality. Face the hard things, Mike. They are not as big as they look from a distance.
The fourth thing I would tell him, and I feel strongly about this one, invest in your friendships. When you are young, friendships feel easy and automatic. You're surrounded by people your age, at school, at college, at your first jobs. Closeness grows naturally just from being in the same place every day. But as you get older, life pulls people in different directions. Jobs change, cities change, priorities change. And suddenly, friendships require real effort and conscious choice. They do not just happen anymore. I would tell that young Mike, do not take your friendships for granted. The people who make you laugh, who know your history, who show up for you when things are hard, they're rare, genuinely rare. Do not let the busyness of life slowly wear those connections down. Call your friends, not just text, call. Show up for their important moments. Remember what matters to them. Be the kind of friend you want to have. I have good friends now, Jason, Marcus, others. I'm grateful for them every day. But there are also people from my past, good people, people I cared about, who I let drift away through simple inattention. I wish I had known earlier how much those connections were worth, how impossible they are to replace. Invest in your people, Mike. They are the best investment you'll ever make. The fifth thing I would tell him, take care of your body now, not later, now. When you were young, your body feels invincible. You can eat badly, sleep poorly, skip exercise, push yourself without rest, and your body just absorbs it and keeps going. But the habits you build when you're young follow you. The patterns you establish in your 20s shape how you feel in your 30s and 40s and beyond. I would tell that young Mike, start moving your body regularly, not obsessively, not competitively, just consistently. Build it into your life as something that simply happens every week, no matter what. Sleep properly. I cannot stress this enough. Sleep is not laziness. Sleep is when your brain strengthens everything you have learned, when your body repairs itself, when everything resets. Without enough sleep, everything else in your life becomes harder. Eat well most of the time. Not perfectly. Perfection in food is neither possible nor worth pursuing. But feed your body with real food, most of the time with care and awareness. Your body is the one home you will live in for your entire life. Treat it like it matters, because it does. The sixth thing, and perhaps the deepest, would be this. Stop worrying so much about what other people think. This one cost me years, years of making decisions based on what I thought other people expected of me. Years of staying in situations that were not right for me because I was afraid of how it would look if I left. Years of not pursuing things I genuinely wanted because they seemed different from what everyone else was doing. I cared so much about being seen in a certain way, about fitting in, about being approved of. And here's the painful truth. Most people are not thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. Everyone is too busy worrying about their own lives, their own image, their own fears. The audience you're performing for is mostly in your head.
I would tell that young Mike, live your life for yourself. Make decisions based on your own values, your own instincts, your own honest sense of what's right for you, not for the imaginary crowd watching and judging. The most important relationship you will ever have is with yourself. Build that relationship with honesty, with kindness, and with the courage to be genuinely and completely you. That's real freedom, and it's available to you at any age, but the sooner you claim it, the better. I sat in this armchair for a long time tonight looking at these photographs. That 18-year-old with his oversized backpack, 22-year-old me at my first real job, trying so hard to look like I knew what I was doing, 26-year-old me in a city I had just moved to, equal parts excited and terrified. I have so much warmth and understanding for all of them now. Looking back, I can see that each version of me was doing the best he could with what he knew at the time, and that's all any of us can ever do. The best you can with what you know at the time. That has always been enough. I put the photographs back in the shoebox. I put the lid on. I sat quietly for a moment in the warm light of my apartment. Outside, Denver was quiet and dark. Inside, I felt settled, grateful, at peace with where I've been and where I'm going. That kid with the oversized backpack turned out okay. More than okay. So let me bring together everything I would tell my younger self, one more time, slowly and clearly. You are enough, right now, exactly as you are. Be patient with the process. Life doesn't work on your timeline. Stop running from the hard things. Face them, because on the other side is always more freedom. Invest in your friendships. They are rare and impossible to replace. Take care of your body now. The habits you build young follow you for life. And stop worrying about what other people think. Live honestly and completely for yourself. 6 things, simple things, things that I had to learn slowly and sometimes painfully over many years, but things that, if that nervous 18-year-old with the oversized backpack had known them earlier, might have made the journey a little lighter, a little kinder, a little more free. Thank you for sitting with me tonight and looking through this old shoebox. I hope something in this story felt true and meaningful to you. And if you're young and just starting out, I hope it helped. You are not behind. You are not less than. You are right on time. If you enjoyed tonight's story and you want to keep learning natural, real English with stories that go a little deeper, please subscribe to Free Daily English right here on YouTube. New stories every week, completely free, made just for you. Just hit that subscribe button below. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to your younger self, and I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.